cosines, all right? So here, we've got the formulas at the very top for law of cosines, and we've got these different scenarios. Now, the thing with law of cosines is that it does take a lot of math, okay? I mean, there's a lot to work out because the formulas are kind of long. And again, you need to know, like, it involves all three sides and one angle, okay? So you're either trying to solve for a missing angle or you're trying to solve for a missing side, but one way or another, it involves three sides and an angle. All right, and I need to go ahead and mark that as 39 feet. Okay, so if I look at this first scenario, it says find BC. Well, that's the missing side, all right? Let's just go ahead and call that, I labeled it X. You could also, we'll just call it A, okay? X or A, we'll just call it A this time. All right, so if I use this formula up here, I know that A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of angle A, all right? So let's go ahead and fill in what we do know and solve for what we don't. We don't know the A, so A squared equals, B is going to be 23, but then we got to square it, plus C is going to be 28. We got to square it now again. And then minus 2B, which is 23, C, which is 28, times cosine of angle A, which is 103 degrees. Okay, like I said, it's a lot of math, a lot you got to simplify there. Okay, guys? So A squared equals 529 is 23 squared, plus 784, that's 28 squared. And then when I multiply all this together, 2 times 23 times 28 times cosine 103. That gives me negative 289.7, but I've got this negative in front of it, so the two negatives are going to become positive. So that's going to become plus 289.7, okay? When I simplify all that, I'm going to get A squared equals 1,602.7, and then to solve for A, I'm just going to take the square root of both sides, and that's going to make A about 40. So BC is about 40, okay? 40 meters. All right. Like I said, it's a lot of math, a lot of simplifying, but you're just plugging into the formula and simplifying it as you go along, okay? So if I look at my next example, it says find the measure of angle B, all right? Let me put a theta there, okay? So, and again, if we're dealing with angle B or side B, we would use this middle one. If we're dealing with angle A or side A, we would use the top one. If we're using angle C or side C, we'd use that bottom one. But since we're dealing with angle B, we're going to use that middle one, okay? So I know that B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cosine angle B, all right? So I know that, and this would be my lowercase b, that'd be my lowercase a, that'd be my lowercase c. All right, so 27 squared equals 39 squared plus 22 squared minus 2 times 39 times 22 times cosine of angle B, which I'm labeling theta. All right? So simplifying all this, I've got 729 equals 1521 plus 484 minus 1716, that's what I get when I multiply all this together, cosine of theta. All right, so I've got 729 equals, when I add these two together, I get 2005 minus 1760 cosine of theta. Okay? If we subtract the 2005 from both sides, okay, you're going to end up with negative 1276 equals negative 1716 cosine theta. All right? We got to divide both sides by negative 1716. Okay? When we do that, we get cosine theta equals, so negative 1,276 divided by negative 1,716. Is going to equal 0.7436. And then when we do the inverse trig ratio, the inverse cosine, we're going to enter in that 0.7436. And we're going to get our angle to be about 42 degrees. So theta equals about 42 degrees. Like I said, it's a lot of work to get there. I understand. Okay, number 7, let's look at this one. It says find BC. Okay, well that would be the lowercase a. So again, we're going to do the a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine of a. So let's fill in what we do know, solve for what we don't. We got a squared equals, so 24 squared, that's opposite angle B, plus 30 squared minus 2 times 24 times 30 cosine, and angle A is 129 degrees. Okay? So a squared equals 576 plus 900 minus, over here I've got, when I multiply all this together, 2 times 24 times 30 times cosine 192, I get negative 906.22. So that's going to be added. So a squared equals 576 plus 900 plus 906.22. We're going to add all those together, 576 plus 900 plus 906.22. That's going to give us a squared equals 2,382.22. And then to solve for a, we're going to take the square root of that. The square root of 2,382. And that's going to give us about 48.8. A equals 48.8. We just took the square root of both sides. Okay? And then finally, using law of cosines, find the measure of angle C. All right, I'm going to put a theta there. And since we're dealing with a C, I'm going to do the c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine of c. All right, so 29 squared equals 10 squared plus 25 squared minus 2 times 10 times 25 times cosine, and in this case, we're trying to find theta, all right? So 29 squared is 841. That equals 100 plus 625 minus 500 cosine theta. All right? 841 equals 725 minus 500 cosine theta. We're going to subtract 725 from both sides. Okay? So that gives us 116 equals negative 500 cosine theta. We'll divide both sides by negative 500. Okay? So 116 divided by negative 500 is going to give us negative 0.232. That's cosine theta. And then to solve for theta, we're just going to do inverse trig ratio, negative 0.232. And so theta is going to be 103.4 degrees. All right, there you go, guys.